Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yes.
everyone. Welcome to BMCC's Evening of Thanks. We are very happy that all of you are here to join us for our virtual event. This year has been a tumultuous one, and we are grateful to have you, our donors, faculty, staff, and students come together to pause and recognize their contributions to our wonderful college. We begin our evening with a video highlighting one of many important initiatives at BMCC.
We were trying to figure out what to do next, and a good friend from Toronto called me up and said, I would like to help you with what you're doing, and can I buy some meals that you can deliver to a hospital or an emergency room? And I said, of course we can do that. And basically a couple of days after that call, we made a first delivery of 40 meals to a hospital, actually NYU Langone in the 30s. From then, we delivered hundreds of thousands of meals, and we've gotten many, many restaurants to help us, doing that.
It's been amazing to work with BMCC. We started speaking with Julia Pell back in June, I guess, about what this program could look like, how we could expand our efforts to support BMCC. It was immediately clear that this was going to be a great thing to work on together. Julie shared with us what a lot of the BMC students have been going through and the incredible efforts that Single Stop has made to still provide them services during the pandemic. But when we learned sort of the struggle of many BMCC students who have themselves been laid off, or who have had family members who have, suffered from COVID, or have even died from COVID, who needed an extra meal, we wanted to do everything we could to be able to support them.
All my money from the COVID relief was having to go to my rent, so really BMCC really helped me just get through being able to, sanely say I'm going to be okay.
I would bring my grandkids and my spouse, and we would come out, and it would be like going to a restaurant. It was amazing. The food was delicious.
I would say to come in, don't be ashamed. Come and get the help, because the help is here for us students and for our family. And also just support the workers who are also providing these meals for us.
And now it's my pleasure and honor to introduce BMCC President, Dr. Anthony Monroe.
Thank you, Manny.
There you go.
Good evening to each and every one of you. I appreciate you all for joining us this evening to provide us with this special opportunity to formally thank you for all of the support that you have demonstrated, especially during this very challenging and tumultuous year. Your dedication, your advocacy, and your generosity have helped BMCC rise to the challenges that face our students and entire campus community. We couldn't do it without you. The video you just watched is just one example of how BMCC is addressing the needs of our students. Food insecurity promises to become more pressing as colleges try to reopen and the country grapples with economic recovery as a result of the global pandemic. Recently, the media have reported the first waves of vaccines that have been administered to people who are serving on the front lines fighting this deadly virus. But until these vaccines become accessible to the rest of us, we must remember that increased vigilance and caution serve as an important bridge to safer times. This is especially true during the holiday season, when we must be extra careful when celebrating with family and friends. At BMCC, we have been carefully and constantly monitoring our own data. And while the number of confirmed cases at BMCC has been extremely low for most of the fall 2020 semester, the increased number of cases in our state is a stark reminder that COVID-19 knows no bounds. This virus can infect anyone, and we know that the chances of infection are closely tied to whether someone takes the key safety measures seriously and observes them with discipline. Face coverings, social distancing, avoiding large gatherings, proper hand washing, and symptom monitoring. Please continue to be mindful and take care of yourselves and your loved ones. The tireless and collaborative efforts of our students, faculty, and staff have allowed us to make it to this point. And for this, I am truly thankful and grateful to serve as president of such a wonderful college community. Collectively, we displayed the resilience necessary to persevere in the face of challenging circumstances. Without question, this has been a difficult time. As I've said many times, multiple intersecting crises are illuminating the persistent inequalities that plague our society. In addition to the pandemic, we continue to witness racial injustice and socioeconomic inequalities that have directly impacted many of our students in our college community. However, and in spite of, we continue to rally and follow our mission to advance equity and the intellectual and personal growth of our students, to strengthen a culture of care inside and outside the classroom, and to increase degree completion, successful transfer, career achievement, and service and leadership within our community and beyond. I believe these are the reasons why we were so fortunate to receive a $30 million gift from philanthropist and author, Ms. Mackenzie Scott. Ms. Scott shared the news on Tuesday on her blog post on medium.com titled 384 Ways to Help. In her announcement, Ms. Scott shared a call to action to support organizations like BMCC that advocate for initiatives that include addressing food insecurity, equity, race and inclusion, economic mobility, support for Black, Latino, and LGBTQ communities. The gift reaffirms BMCC's ongoing commitment to advance these initiatives in significant ways, primarily through education and training. We are grateful to Ms. Scott for recognizing what we do for the betterment of students' lives. The $30 million gift will be used to establish the BMCC's President's Fund for Excellence and Innovation, which will accelerate and amplify current efforts and create new, diverse models to address race, equity and inclusion, gender equity and related issues, economic mobility, innovation in education, the impact and effects of the pandemic, social responsibility, and the college's strategic plan and priorities. These initiatives are jumping off points to continue engaging all of you in an effort to help us strengthen our programs and to elevate BMCC as a leading institution for every student. Give them the opportunity to start here and go anywhere. As many of you know, BMCC has been participating in the CUNY Tuesday campaign to raise money in support of the college's food pantry and its efforts to address food insecurity. We know that hungry students cannot perform successfully in and outside of the classroom. So I encourage all of you to show your support by donating between now and December 31st to the CUNY Tuesday campaign. Help us meet and in fact exceed our goal of $50,000. All of you play a vital role serving our community, especially in difficult times like these. I hope you will give what you can to make our students' lives better, especially as they start 2021 in hopes of a brighter future. Thank you, thank you, thank you to our donors and our alumni, our staff and our faculty, our community in general, for your continued support. I wish all of you a happy holidays and all the best for a brighter 2021. Let's continue to stay healthy, safe, and resilient.
Thank you, President Monroe. Our first student speaker is Jose Ceballos, a psychology major who comes to us all the way from Peru. He currently lives in Queens, and he is just completing his third semester at BMCC. Take it away, Jose.
Good evening, and thank you for supporting BMCC students. There are 3 brothers living in the same household. 2 had to work, and 1 was attending college. So 2 would talk about their dreaded work days, and 1 would talk about the courses he was taking in college. One brother was having the time of his life, and the other 2 were trying to work additional hours to get paid overtime. My name is Jose Ceballos, and I was one of the brothers who had to work, although we were all college age. This was a decision made by my family. When my mother migrated to the United States, she didn't envision the financial difficulties she would experience. So together, we had to make financial decisions that were in the best interest of the family as a whole. When it was time for her 3 sons to go to college, as a family, we decided on the order in which the siblings would attend, and the ones whose admission was delayed would work to support that decision and help my mom with the household expenses. My youngest brother was the first one to go to college in the US. He attended Borough of Manhattan Community College, BMCC, and he was the only one enjoying college life. He knew the names of professors and staff members, and they knew his. He participated in different organizations and loved his on-campus life. So no billboard, no commercials, no subway advertisement could do what my brother has done to convince me that BMCC would be the college I would attend. As soon as he graduated from BMCC, it was my turn to enroll in college. I followed in his footsteps and started here in the fall 2019 semester. As I soon saw what my brother was talking about, it is basically the engagement with people from all over the world. It's the services you can get for free, and it's the scholarship programs that people like you support to help students like me whose family makes sacrifices, but can only afford to allow 1 sibling at a time to attend college. My second semester at BMCC was spring 2020. In March, the engaging in-person vibe on the campus of BMCC disappeared. No students in the hallways, no visiting the advisor's office, no enjoying club meetings with my peers. But some things about BMCC didn't change. It didn't stop professors like Dr. Dexter from motivating me, encouraging me to keep going, teaching me about resilience and reinforcing my personality with the stronger qualities. It didn't stop Professor Barnes from teaching me valuable lessons, such as being kind with myself and to always do my best in everything I do. One other thing which didn't change is that BMCC recognizes that students like me still need financial assistance and gave me an opportunity to apply for and receive the Add-on Scholarship. So in the midst of the pandemic, there was joy in one household, which by definition would be considered economical disadvantage. But when we receive rewards like this, we do not see poverty. We see pride, happiness, and a future. Next semester, I will graduate from BMCC, back in the norm to graduate in 2 years. And it is my determination and plan to follow in my little brother's footsteps, and like him, apply and get a full scholarship to attend through university as well. We're determined to live the BMCC motto, start here, go anywhere. But you're not done with the Ceballos family as yet. As I talk to you, This evening, my older brother is completing his application to attend BMCC. One at a time, we're joining the BMCC family. And one at a time, you're helping students to accomplish their dreams to get a higher education. So for a lifetime, we will remember to follow in your footsteps and give back as well. We now see that we can do it for one person at a time. BMCC and the Zavais family, thank you. We're grateful for your generosity.
What you just saw was a collection of numerous ways that you, our donors, have helped BMCC during this challenging year. To share more on how this year has impacted our students is BMCC's Dean of Student Affairs, Dr. Michael Hutmaker.
Thank you, Manny. Good evening, everyone. I'm Michael Hutmaker, and for the last 11 years, I've had the pleasure to serve as the Dean for Student Affairs here at BMCC. And during this time, the one thing that has always left me in awe and continues to impress me is your generosity, the friends of BMCC. Many of you have been part of BMCC for some time now, and others of you have more recently joined our family. And it is a family that looks out for and supports one another. And tonight is an opportunity to thank you for your continued contributions to support our students. So I want to thank you on behalf of the numerous students that have benefited from your generous giving over the years, whether it was in the form of emergency funds, scholarships, or program support. You have made an impact on the lives of so many students. Our students embody the spirit of New York. They strive to change their future with resiliency, self-determination, and grit. And like most New Yorkers, many of our students have figured it out how to succeed on their own and without asking for too much assistance. But sometimes we all hit a point where figuring it out on your own is too much. As President Monroe mentioned earlier, this past year has been a perfect storm of challenges for our students. The COVID-19 pandemic, which has forced our students to relearn how they learn through the virtual format, while taking care of and even losing loved ones. Racial injustice and systemic racism that became highlighted over the summer, unemployment or underemployment, and the loss of jobs they needed to sustain their daily living. And sadly, some of these students have had to face all three. But because of you, students had someone ready to assist them, whether it is the student veteran living on their own that lost their job and now needs to use the BMCC Panther Pantry for food or the occasional hot meal, or the young father that needed an emergency grant to help pay the rent, or the mother returning to school that is a recipient of a foundation scholarship, or the support of students in various programs, such as those that have been just as involved and are now on track to earn a degree. So we thank you for working with us to help our students to start here and go anywhere. And as you have heard and seen tonight, this generosity is much appreciated by our students. And now I would like to introduce you to another student, a student leader here at BMCC, Mariama Faye, to speak with you about her BMCC experience.
Good evening, and thank you for supporting the BMCC community. There was a protest in Manhattan in 2013. I was not aware of it, yet I was among those who were wrongfully blamed for organizing it. The lives of my family members in the Gambia, West Africa, were now in jeopardy. My name is Mariama Faye, and I am majoring in psychology at Borough of Manhattan Community College. The arms of brutal dictators who rule often stretch far beyond the borders of their countries. This protest that occurred without my knowledge and the one that embarrassed the former president of the Gambia upended my life in the United States, and my family and I became MAC people. At that time, I was a college student, but I could no longer focus and I had to drop out of college to get myself together. I took menial jobs and struggled to make ends meet. My life was spiraling out of control. My daughter and I ended up at a shelter in Spanish Harlem. But I was determined to succeed. I applied to attend Borough of Manhattan Community College, BMCC, and they had the services that would help me cultivate a growth mindset, allowing me to grow inside the classroom and expand my wings outside of it. The life that was upended was slowly being uplifted in many ways. For me to attend college, I needed to make sure that my daughter was in a happy place. BMCC had a childcare center. We were both in the same building on Chambers Street. She was on the childcare center on the 3rd floor, and I was on the 7th floor. We were growing and learning at the same time in the same space, but with different teachers. This is a mother's dream. One day, I was passing by the counseling center. I decided to stop in. Fortunately, I was assigned Dr. Precious Seller Mulhan as my free mental health counselor, and she has helped to keep me sane. As students, we are challenged in our lives not only mentally, but financially as well. You have heard our calls and have donated to BMCC. I really appreciate it. While some students receive scholarships every semester, other kinds of assistance can go a long way. There are some of us who just need to be lifted once in a while. I applied for and received an emergency grant, which greatly lessened my rent balance and helped me keep our apartment. Occasionally, I would pick up some items from the Penta Pantry for my daughter and I. As my peers and I lay our problems at the feet of BMCC, we feel blessed when our faculty, staff, and people like you help to pick them up and remove them from our path to success. My obstacles were removed so that I could run for the position of Secretary of the Student Government Association and succeed. My obstacles were removed so that I could be the Vice President of CUNY Malawi Leadership Academy. My obstacles were removed so that I will graduate from BMCC next semester and transfer to City College for Black Studies and Psychology. I am learning to remove obstacles for others as well. I now serve as an advocate and I use my platform as a student leader and a resident of Brownsville, Brooklyn, one of the ostracized neighborhoods in New York, to raise an awareness and help break the taboo that is associated with mental health counseling, especially for people of color. I can now tell them of my lived experience of success with a mental health counselor. So thank you for paving the way for BMCC students, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Mariama, for sharing your story. Again, another shining example of the amazing students that we have at BMCC. I now have the pleasure of introducing the chairman of the BMCC Foundation Board, Mr. Tony Portanese.
Thank you, Manny. And certainly, both Mariama's and Jose's stories are very compelling. And, one of the reasons that we're all here this evening, not only to thank everyone, our donors, the faculty, and the administration. And this is the reason why we're here. When we hear stories like this that we've heard tonight and that we've heard in the past, it really makes it very compelling for us to join as a community to really help as much as we can. And, it reminds me lately, I'll go off script a minute. I've been watching The Crown. I don't know how many of you have been watching The Crown on Netflix. It's quite an interesting show. I see some smiles and faces. But one of the characters in The Crown is Winston Churchill. And Churchill had some great quotes in his political and military career. And one of them actually reminds me of the BMCC students. And one of his quotes is, "Success is the ability to go from one failure to another without any loss of enthusiasm." And that, to me, perfectly describes our BMCC students, because if anything, they are resilient. And that's what makes them so special. And, we've talked about the pandemic and the effect on all of us, and particularly the students of BMCC, because many of them are frontline employees. They work on the front lines. And unfortunately, many of them have also lost their jobs because they work in the services industry. Many of them have had to stop attending classes because they had to make ends meet and had to find work, just to help, them and their families to make ends meet. So resilient is something that they certainly are. And we understand as a board and as educators and as philanthropists that there's no better calling for all of us than to invest in their future, to help them, to uplift them. That we know that a quality education really is the key to improving their economic and social status, and to help them to become successful citizens of the world. So with that, I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. And I know that I speak for the entire BMCC Foundation and the faculty for all of your help and your support. And by the way, we've had some really great news. Dr. Monroe spoke about the Mackenzie Scott, $30 million. That's really a game changer. We've also had some other, quite large gifts this week that I'm really proud to announce. The NBC Universal organization donated $100,000 to our students. This week we finalized the grant. It's for $100,000 to support 20 students with $5,000 scholarships that would go for equipment, for scholarship assistance, and also to provide internships. We've also had the Robin Hood Foundation, who has donated it to us $270,000. And that was just announced just today. And obviously, many of you know that we are in the running, the finalists for the Aspen Foundation. I think all this should speak to how proud we should all feel to be associated with an institution like BMCC, because it is an institution of excellence. The faculty is top notch. The administration, I've had the chance to work closely with Dr. Monroe and our new VP of Development, Warner Malcolm. We've formed a partnership with the foundation that has been unparalleled. And we have a lot of good things in our future to work on, and we are going to help and support as many students as possible. One of the things that I think is important with the Mackenzie Scott donation is this was not a random selection. We weren't just lucky. The the organization went through over 6,000 institutions that they considered. They had advisors that actually went and screened institutions of who would be the most willing and the most capable of using those funds for the good of the students. And BMCC was one of 384 institutions that were named. That's something that we should all be very proud of, that the excellence of this university and the brand of this university is extending beyond our local borders. So with that, I think it's really important that we maintain this momentum going into 2021. We also had a pivot as a foundation. We conducted our first virtual fundraiser in May of this year, as many other organizations had to pivot. And we raised over $600,000 with our first virtual event. And I would invite all of you on this call tonight to join us for our spring event, which we're planning now, where we're hoping to raise $1 million and to continue the momentum for the good work of all the students. So thank you again, all of you. And with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Lorna.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you to the members of the BMCC Foundation Board for the continued dedication toward the betterment of BMCC and its students. Now, for those of you who may not know, there is another member of the BMCC family who has also helped our students and the BMCC community. Take a look. A Panther's work is never done, right? And on this note, I want to thank all of you for joining us this evening. On behalf of Vice President Lorna Malcolm, I want to thank all of you for your continued support. Your contributions and continued support of BMCC are critical, and we look forward to engaging you with more opportunities to show your support. Best wishes to all of you this holiday season, and may we welcome a brighter future as we step into 2021. Good night, everyone.
Happy holidays, everyone.